You start by heating a crooked $30 frame for someone who thinks glasses are just retail, and you can end owning the room that quietly generates about half the practice's money. At the top, you are not just fitting temples anymore. You are buying inventory, leading licensed staff, and protecting a 6 or low 7-figure optical business. Level 1, the frame fitter. You are usually 19 to 24, standing under bright retail lights with a name tag and a nervous smile, trying to make acetate and metal feel simple. You think this job is fashion plus customer service. Pick a nice color, tighten a screw, ring it up. Then your mentor hands you a frame heater, a tiny screwdriver set, a pupillary distance ruler, and a tray of returns from people who say their glasses give them headaches. Welcome to reality. Your first weeks are humbling. A customer says the progressive lenses feel wrong, and you realize you do not even know what progressive really means in real life. Someone asks for nosepad arms to be adjusted, and you bend them unevenly. Another person sits down, and the frame you just fit slides straight off their face. You learn the hard way that 1 millimeter matters, pantoscopic tilt matters, vertex distance matters, face shape matters, prescription power matters. The bridge that felt fine for 30 seconds can hurt by lunchtime. At this level, you are often making something like $14 to $18 an hour in a chain store or local office, maybe a little more in expensive markets, a little less in others. The work looks soft from outside, but the embarrassment is brutal because every mistake sits on someone's face. You also learn the first status truth of Optical. The doctor writes the prescription, but you are the one who gets blamed when the glasses feel wrong. If you can survive that without getting defensive, the next door opens. You stop just selling frames and start wanting to understand the prescription behind them. Level 2, the Optical trainee. Now you are shadowing hard. Maybe you entered through a chain trainee program. Maybe an independent office hired you because you seem patient and not terrified of tiny screws. Either way, this is where the job stops being retail and starts becoming a trade. You stand beside the bench watching an experienced optician neutralize lenses in a lensometer. The machine clicks, the target sharpens, and numbers suddenly become physical. Sphere, cylinder, axis, add power, prism. If you are unlucky and the day wants to humble you, you start measuring monocular pupillary distances instead of guessing from a ruler slapped across the nose. You learn that ordering lenses is not just selecting clear or anti-reflective. It is base curve, material, thickness, edge polish, blue light upsells that may or may not be worth the pitch, and knowing when a high prescription in a giant fashion frame is going to become a disaster. This is also where you learn the industry's dirty little secret. Many practices talk about training, but real structured training can be thin. So you become your own apprentice. You ask questions. You write things down. You watch remakes come back from the lab and try to understand why. You learn the difference between an optician, an optometrist, and an ophthalmologist because patients constantly mix them up. They will call you doctor when they are happy and the glasses person when they are not. Money still is not glamorous. Maybe $15 to $20 an hour. Maybe a little bonus for sales. But now you are building judgment, and judgment is the real currency. Somewhere around your first 1,000 hours of hands-on work, you feel the shift. You are not just following scripts anymore. You can catch an impossible order before it ships. That is when certification starts whispering your name. Level 3, the Certified Optician. This is the first real status jump. In the United States, a common badge is certification through the American Board of Opticianry. In some states, licensure rules add another layer. In other countries, registration routes are different. That variation is annoying, but the pattern is the same. The field starts taking you more seriously once you prove you know what you are doing. You sit for the exam with flashcards, practice problems, and a brain full of lens physics you never expected to care about this much. When you pass, your pay does not instantly become magical, but your ceiling rises. You may move into the low to mid-40s annually, maybe closer to the national median around $46,560, and in stronger markets or better stores you can push above that. More important, you stop feeling like borrowed help. Now the scene changes. A difficult patient comes back saying the glasses feel fishbowly. The trainee would panic. You start asking better questions. Is it a change in prescription? A first-time progressive wearer? Frame wrap? Seg height? Material shift? You inspect the job, adjust the frame, verify the prescription, and decide whether this is adaptation, adjustment, or remake. That distinction saves money. You also get your first taste of pressure from above. Managers care about capture rate, second pairs, anti-reflective coatings, premium progressives, warranty plans, and remake percentage. You learn there is an uncomfortable line between helping people see well and pushing upgrades they do not need. Some opticians become pure sellers here. The good ones learn that trust converts better than pressure. Patients remember who fixed the problem without making them feel stupid. Once people start specifically asking for you by name, the next level appears. You are no longer just competent. You are becoming the person with a niche. Level 4, the contact lens and complex RX specialist. This is where Optical gets interesting and less forgiving. You are the one they call when the prescription is strong, the face is asymmetrical, the multifocal wearer is angry, or the contact lens training visit is going off the rails. Maybe you add contact lens credentials through the National Contact Lens Examiners. Maybe you become the office's go-to for progressives, pediatric fits, safety eyewear, or high-minus prescriptions. Either way, specialization is how average pay turns into above average value. The scene is no longer a simple handoff over the counter. You are teaching a teenager how to insert lenses without blinking them onto the floor. You are calming a dry eye patient who swears contacts are impossible. You are explaining why a huge rimless style is a terrible idea for a strong script. You are fitting around a low bridge, facial asymmetry, long lashes, hearing aids, or a patient who has worn the same bad fit for 10 years and thinks pain is normal. Your tools get better. Digital pupillometers, corneal topography in more clinical settings, more advanced order systems, better knowledge of lens designs, high index materials, aspheric options, occupational lenses, and the 1,000 tiny choices that separate a tolerable pair from a pair someone forgets they are wearing. Your mistakes get more expensive too. One bad order on premium lenses can burn hundreds of dollars fast. Pay might move into the 50s or low 60s in good settings, sometimes more with commission or in specialty heavy markets. But the bigger change is status. Doctors start asking your opinion on frame selection for difficult scripts. New staff hover nearby when you troubleshoot. Patients trust you with the sentence every optician wants to hear: "I only want you to do my glasses." Then the door opens again, because now you are not just producing, you are carrying people. Level 5. The optical lead. Somewhere in your late 20s or 30s, the keys start landing in your hand. Not ownership keys yet, the daily survival keys. You open the dispensary, you count trays, you check jobs in, you train the brand new hire who still thinks every lens can go into every frame. You are now responsible for whether the department feels smooth or chaotic. This is the level where your technical skill meets people skill, and both start fighting each other. You may be the strongest bench problem solver in the building, but now you have to correct coworkers without sounding like a tyrant. You handle remakes, delayed jobs, upset parents, and that one salesperson who promises impossible delivery dates because they hate conflict. You also learn the money engine. In many practices, the optical dispensary accounts for roughly half of the total practice income. That means your little corner with the mirrors, frame boards, and adjustment pliers is not cosmetic. It is a revenue center. You start tracking things that never mattered before: capture rate, average sale, return rate, lab turnaround, inventory turns, frames that look beautiful on the board but die on the shelf. You learn that $1,000 trapped in dead inventory is more painful than a scratched demo lens. Your wage may move into something like $22 to $28 an hour, or a salary in the 50s to 60s with bonuses depending on the market. The exact number varies a lot. The responsibility does not. This is also where burnout sneaks in. Retail optical can mean evenings, weekends, and smiling through nonsense. You miss dinner because a patient came in 5 minutes before close with a bent titanium frame and a panic story. You fix it anyway, because if you become the person who solves problems under pressure, management becomes inevitable. Level 6, the optical manager. Now you are not just the strongest optician, you are the translator between doctors, staff, vendors, labs, insurance rules, and customers who think their vision plan covers the moon. Your bench skills still matter, but your real work is keeping the machine profitable and calm. The scene here is less romantic. You are in the office early with invoices, payroll questions, frame reps waiting to show collections, and a remake report that makes your stomach tighten. You hire. You fire, if it comes to that. You negotiate discounts with labs. You decide whether that premium independent line is worth the buy-in. You build schedules around school pickups, sick calls, and the one senior optician everyone depends on, but who threatens retirement twice a year. You also learn how thin margins can feel. Patients compare you to online sellers that promise cheap glasses with 2 taps and no human being involved. You cannot win that game on price alone, so you win on fit, speed, problem solving, and trust. You train your team to explain why a poorly centered progressive from the internet can become an expensive false bargain. Sometimes they listen. Sometimes they still buy online and come back asking you to fix the unfixable. Dry humor becomes a survival skill. Compensation can reach the 60s, 70s, or more in stronger markets, especially when bonuses tie to sales and performance. But the real change is authority. Vendors know your name. Doctors ask if the optical is healthy. Staff bring you their hardest patient conversations. Then one day, you look at the numbers and realize something dangerous. If you can run the shop, maybe you can own one. Level 7, the independent builder. This is the leap where confidence meets debt. Maybe you buy into an existing practice. Maybe you open a dispensary attached to an eye care office. Maybe you partner with a licensed prescriber, because you know an optical business without exam flow is a much harder climb. However you do it, this level is not about loving glasses. It is about surviving inventory, leases, payroll, software, insurance credentialing, and the 1,000 invisible costs that eat dreamers alive. The opening scene is not glamorous. It is spreadsheets, sample boards, and a bank account that suddenly feels too small. You are pricing frame packages, selecting lab relationships, signing for edging equipment or deciding to outsource, choosing practice software, planning exam to optical handoff, and figuring out how many frames you can afford before your cash gets trapped on the wall. A beautiful board full of brands can represent tens of thousands of dollars just sitting there hoping faces walk in. You finally understand why owners obsess over no-shows, warranty abuse, and capture rate. Every missed handoff from exam room to optical is money evaporating. Every staff mistake is no longer the company's problem. It is your problem. If you are lucky, year one is modest. Maybe you pay yourself less than you expected. Maybe your friends think owner means rich while you are personally adjusting frames on Saturday because someone called out sick. But if you built well, this is where the upside appears. A healthy optical with strong doctor relationships, smart inventory, and loyal repeat patients can support solid owner income. Exact numbers vary wildly by location and model, but it is realistic for a successful owner to move beyond manager, pay into stronger six-figure territory over time. Not instantly, not automatically, and not without risk. The next level only opens if you stop acting like the best optician in the room and start acting like the steward of a whole system. Level 8, the practice owner. At the endgame, you are still fixing crooked frames sometimes. That never fully leaves. But your real job has widened into something most beginners would never recognize. You are managing the doctor relationship, the dispensary mix, frame reps, lab contracts, rent, staffing, patient reviews, remakes, optical compliance, local competition, and the slow creep of online disruption. You are also deciding what kind of place this will be. The scene is a Monday morning meeting. One optician wants more premium independent lines. Another says patients need better entry price options. Your front desk lead says too many people leave without walking the frame boards. The doctor wants shorter handoff times between the exam room and optical. You are not discussing nose pads. You are shaping culture and revenue at once. You know by now that optical is half healthcare, half craft, half retail, which is unfair because that is three halves, and somehow all of them are true. A patient can cry in your chair because they see clearly for the first time in years, and 10 minutes later, someone else argues over a warranty on sunglasses their dog clearly won. Ownership means carrying both moments without losing your center. If you scale well, add another location, or build a strong independent with loyal patients, this becomes a serious asset, not just a job. For some owners, that means comfortable six figures. For a few, especially with multiple doors or a strategic sale, much more. But the money is only part of the status contrast. The bigger difference is in authority. At the beginning, you were hoping not to ruin a $30 frame adjustment. Now, licensed professionals, staff families, and a large chunk of practice revenue depend on your decisions. And the cost? Your brain never fully leaves the shop. You notice crooked glasses on strangers at restaurants. You silently estimate pupillary distance while talking to friends. You worry about staff turnover on vacation. You understand that becoming useful enough to own the room also means the room follows you home. In the end, the whole ladder comes back to that first heated frame in your shaking hands. You thought you were learning to sell glasses. What you were really learning was how to carry precision, trust, and blame in public, then turn that strange little skill into a business people depend on.